We're going to get to Boss Watch. Boss Watch is a segment that we do every week where we try to take a look at what bosses are up to in the South. We're going to start right here in Alabama with the Serafina Network, a management company for gas station convenience stores based in Alabama. They're going to be paying $40,000 and furnishing other relief to settle a disability discrimination lawsuit filed by the EEOC. According to the lawsuit, store managers, employees, and customers routinely mocked a neurodivergent cashier with eye problems, anxiety, and a seizure disorder. The lawsuit further charged that after receiving complaints about the harassment, the store manager responded by demanding that the employee provide a medical release related to a seizure episode. The employer subsequently refused to accept a medical release tendered by the employee and proceeded to terminate him. The business failed to maintain any anti-harassment or anti-discrimination policies or train employees about their obligations under federal anti-discrimination laws. Such alleged conduct violates the ADA, which prohibits disability-based discrimination and retaliation. So the EEOC filed suit, and then they got this settlement for this employee. So really cool stuff there. Heading over to federal workers, the EEOC recently issued 3 noteworthy appellate decisions. The EEOC's Office of Federal Operations clarifying the federal government's statutory obligations under federal anti-discrimination laws and federal court precedent to provide reasonable accommodations to religious employees and to pregnant federal employees. These decisions signify EEOC's renewed and ongoing commitment to timely and even-handed application of anti-discrimination law to the federal workforce. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. So the first 2 EEOC decisions provide a clear statement of the federal government's obligation under Title VII to provide its employees with effective, reasonable accommodations for their religious beliefs and practices, unless doing so would impose an undue hardship on the government's operations. In Augustine v. Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of Veterans Affairs was found liable for failing to accommodate a Muslim physician's practice of attending weekly prayer service. In Andy B. v. the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, the Federal Reserve Board was found liable for failing to accommodate a Christian police officer's request for exemption from the government agency's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. And then the third decision, KCL v. USPS, demonstrates the EEOC's commitment to protecting the dignity, health, and equal opportunity of pregnant women in the federal workforce. In KCL, the USPS was found liable for discriminatorily requiring a new mother to use the employee bathroom for her lactation needs when other clean private spaces were readily available. This case arose prior to the passage of the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which went into effect on June 27, 2023. The PWFA requires covered employers, including the federal government, to provide reasonable accommodations to workers affected by pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions, unless doing so would cause undue hardship. Under the Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978, however, an employer did not necessarily have an affirmative duty to provide workplace accommodations for pregnancy-related conditions, but in KCL, the EEOC concluded that the USPS's decision to exclude its employee from available clean and private spaces for lactation was tainted by discriminatory bias and therefore unlawful. Federal law states that employers must provide reasonable accommodations to eligible employees or consider reasonable alternatives if appropriate. So, mostly good decisions from the EEOC there. Union Busters is a segment of Boss Watch that is sponsored by Labor Lab. Labor Lab is an employer watchdog organization that are they're committed to safeguarding the right to organize through unions, collective bargaining, and mutual aid. They do this by combing through reports that Union Busters are required to file with the Department of Labor. Here are the new filings from last week. Amazon in California hired Road Warrior Productions for almost $4,000 a day day and a total of $121,000 over the course of the agreement. International Motors hired Road Warrior Productions for $3,500 a day. Pacific Propeller International in Washington hired Davis, Grimm, Payne, and Mara for $440 an hour. That union election is still open. Imperial Dade in Florida hired Quest Consulting. That union election is still open. And Midwest Refrigerated Services in Wisconsin hired G&E Consulting Services for $212.50 an hour. If you want to hear the rest of Boss Watch, if you want to read the rest of Boss Watch, you can subscribe to our newsletter, tvlr.fm, and you will get both Boss Watch and Last Week in Southern Labor in your email inbox every single week. You'll also be privy to announcements from the show when we have them. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.